evening, everyone. My name is James Neophytou, and I'm here at Hellenic TV for a very special interview with Mr. Alexios Gennaris. We're going to talk about his past, his current projects, and future plans. Alex, welcome to Hellenic.
Thank you, James.
Tell us, first of all, you're known in the Cypriot Greek community in the UK as a photographer. Tell us how you got started with all that.
With the churches, it would have started in 2012, when I'd be sitting in church during during services, and I'd just take a few photos, and then I'd show them to St Andrew's Church, Kentish Town, and then I started printing them out and showing them to Bishop Chrysostomos, who later became Metropolitan Chrysostomos. So I'd show him the photos, and then in 2014 he said to me, "Are you going to come to church on Sunday?" And I wasn't planning on going to church that Sunday, but I said, "Yes, of course." And he goes, "Well, bring your camera, we're going to have an ordination." And that's where it started, from the ordination of the then deacon Christian Axelberg. And then from there, I actually photographed the christening of his twins, his first two children, and subsequently his other two children. And then one day in 2014 December, I remember, he sent me a message, Father, and he said, "Why don't you go to all the London churches, make it a marathon, all in a day, and just photograph all the buildings?" And I thought, yeah, it must be, we've got, 7 churches? Googled it, we had 23 churches.
23 Greek Orthodox
churches
in London.
Yeah. I included the one in Luton, East Hyde. So I wrote to Father, and I said, "Father, this is going to be a year-long project. It will take me 12 months because I want to photograph the buildings, the priests, the chanters, everything about our services." So that's how it started. And then I started with our church, the London churches. I'd asked for permission from the priests. I had 2 that refused, but later on, when they realised I'd been to the other churches, they'd accepted me as a photographer for the churches, and that's how it all began. Also, went to I had Archbishop Grigorios, the late Archbishop's permission as well. I had to get his blessing to do all this, because you can't just pop into churches and do it to that level. But yeah, that's how it all started.
Very good, very good. And after London, you visited the UK as well, around other communities?
Yeah. That happened because back in November 2016, the Patriarch came of Constantinople. And a guy called Alex Bandeli from Coventry, he saw me there. He'd seen my photos on Facebook, and then he wrote to me, and then he invited me to Coventry. So then, from London, I started going to further afield, Coventry, Birmingham.
Okay.
So all over the UK now.
And how were people to see the photographs? Did you put them online? Did you put them on social media? How was the...
At first, I would just print out a few photos and give them to the actual priest.
The community.
And I had some on Facebook, but very, very few in those days. I didn't publicise it at all. And people would ask me, how will we get to see the photos? I said, "Well, come to my house and see them on the laptop," because I've no idea. I haven't thought beyond taking the photos. It was just for me. Basically, I was doing this. And then my good friend, James Neophytou, had this brilliant idea of an exhibition. And that was an absolutely amazing
That was
amazing
2016. Yeah. I must declare an interest here. Alex and I have been friends since school, since the age of 11, so we've known each other
30 years?
Something like that. A few decades. Yeah. So we put on an exhibition at the Glendale Centre, Dugdale Centre, the Hellenic Centre in London.
That's right, yeah.
And I think a lot of people came to those exhibitions and saw your artwork.
Yeah.
One thing that people say to me about your photographs, though, Alex, is the excellent colour and lighting. Have you studied photography, or do you just point the camera?
I just point the camera and hope for the best. Now, what it is a lot of photographers will not use a flash in church. But I know that the churches are dark. If we're going to have a half-decent photo, we have to use a flash, and because people know me, they're not disturbed by it as well.
And you've got their permission as well.
Of course, yes.
Okay, so you become known as the photographer of the churches. How did you become known as the Archbishop's photographer? Because his late, dearly departed, late eminence Archbishop Grigorios gave a name for you. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
The first name was the Archbishop's unofficial official photographer from Father Victoras. He was a deacon then for Archbishop Grigorios. And we were in Folkestone, I remember, and he said, "You're the Archbishop's unofficial official photographer, in that I do this off my own back. I'm not invited to the churches. I just find out where he'll be or where there'll be a service, even the smallest of services, and I'll go along and take photos." And then the second name I was given was ο φωτογράφος των θεατήρων, Father Anastasios. He would write about me and write ο φωτογράφος των θεατήρων. That was the second name. And then it wasn't until the funeral of the late Archbishop Grigorios that I found out he would refer to me as ο Άγιος Φωτογράφος. So that name's kind of stuck, and I've even taken Holy Communion, and the priest has said ο Άγιος Φωτογράφος as I take Holy Communion.
Very good.
It's just a name. But so there have been titles along the way. Nothing official, just just through love.
So then we had our new Archbishop Nikitas, His Eminence. How has that relationship continued as the official, unofficial photographer?
Well, Archbishop Nikitas inherited me from the previous Archbishop, so he didn't know who I was. But from the first moment I met him, he accepted me as being a photographer for the community, thankfully. He's changed a lot of things since he's come here for the better, and thankfully he hasn't changed me. He's kept me, and I've gone along, and even he's referred to me as a holy photographer as well.
Very good.
Yeah, so that's
very good.
Excellent.
So you've met a lot of people, you've photographed a lot of activities and events, and I guess from churches you also get invited to other official residences. You've met a lot of ambassadors. Tell us about those.
Well, there's obviously there's the ambassador of Greece, the High Commissioner of Cyprus, both of them, and even the current High Commissioner. He's going to introduce me to the Sierra Leonean High Commissioner,
right? Just
to let him know about the work I'm doing in Sierra Leone, which will be absolutely amazing when I meet him as well.
Okay, we'll need to come to Sierra Leone somehow.
Yeah.
So Nikitas, His Eminence, you continued.
Yeah.
You've been taking official photographs at embassies, at events.
Yeah.
And tell us about the link to Sierra Leone then. How did that come about?
The Sierra Leone came about when on Facebook there was a promotion of the ex-rock and roll atheist Marxist, now a priest, is coming to the UK.
Right.
And he went from and I wrote to the organisers. I said, look, I'd love to come along to the visits of the then Archimandridi, the monk Themistoklis Adamopoulos. So obviously I don't charge for this, so they were more than willing to let me come along. So I went to about 13 different visits. Went to Coventry, went to Oxford, and on the last day I asked the then Father Themi, would you mind if I come to Sierra Leone to continue this story, because people want to now see what's happening there, because they've seen my photos now, they want to see the continuation. So he said, please do. So February was when I asked him. That December was my first visit to Sierra Leone. And
what was Father Themi's mission in Sierra Leone? How did he get there? What was
his story? It's he started off. He was born in Egypt, and then when there was some turmoil and problems there, his family moved to Australia, and that's where he began his new life. He wasn't brought up in a religious family or environment. He was an ex-rock and roll star. He toured with the Rolling Stones, and then he found God. He was even a Marxist, and I took him to Karl Marx's grave at Highgate when last time he came here. So that was his journey. And then he went to Kenya. He sold everything he had, went to Kenya to help the poor, and then from there he was sent to Sierra Leone just after the Civil War ended, and he has built 3 churches. This is with the help of mostly Australians and Greeks from Greece, it says.
Private donors.
And there's a charity as well, Paradise for Kids, that already supports them. So they've built 3 churches. They have 2 orphanages, 3 schools, a teaching college. So they're expanding there. But obviously they constantly need support. But my involvement with Sierra Leone is also families outside of the mission. It was very important for me to obviously visit the other people as well.
How many times have you been to Sierra Leone?
4 times.
Tell us about the first time.
The first time, well, that was 2017. That's when I first met, obviously met the father then, and a friend of mine arranged the crowdfunding to get me over there. It's quite expensive to go over there. Also, when I went, I had 5 massive suitcases, large ones, full of clothes. One was full of doctors' equipment for the clinic there. There was medicines for the clinic there. Presbytera Virginia, Father Anastasia's wife, every time she went to the supermarket, she would buy paracetamol, ibuprofen, and then go to the next supermarket, buy more. And then I counted about, I think it was roughly 1,000 tablets, individual tablets from.
And you weren't stopped at customs?
Well, thankfully I wasn't. Yeah, I was very, very worried, especially as I had scalpels in the actual suitcases as well. So things for operations. So I was very, very worried. But even the 5 suitcases, I filled up those big porters trolleys to get into the airport with it. But that was my first visit. I got to meet the people there at the mission. They got the Orthodox Youth Fellowship. Obviously, I met Bishop or Father Themi's sister, who's a deaconess. I think one of the very few deaconesses in our religion, Mary Adams. So yes, I saw everything that they did there. But what I would do is, I would leave the mission in come 5:30, and I'd walk up the hill and I'd meet the families who receive no support whatsoever. These are literally the poorest of the poor, and we'd sit there in the evening. I say evening, 5:30 is pitch black then, there's no lights where they live. And we were sitting on logs or pieces of wood and just talking. And their first question is how is Anastasia, my granddaughter, who was only a few months old then. So they always ask about Anastasia, and we'd chat. And then on the last day, it was quite an emotional goodbye. But then we had in those days we didn't have WhatsApp and Facebook contact. So when I went the second time, then they had more telephones, mobile phones, so we managed to keep in touch, and then that's when I could then offer them support, monetary support as well.
Okay, so this is becoming quite official now. I hear that you're setting up your own charity.
That's right, it's been a while now. We're waiting for the solicitor to finalise the charity, to register it. It'll be called the Zinc House Kids. Zinc House Kids. Zinc houses because they live in they live in zinc houses,
literally
4 walls of zinc, a roof of zinc. The actual frame is made up of branches from trees. In the rainy season, the water pours through. And also you have a lot of fires because they have charcoal. They burn charcoal to cook. So during the rainy season, the charcoal's inside the zinc house, and the zinc house is the size of a shed.
Yep.
So yeah. So yeah, that's why they're called the Zinc House Kids.
Okay, and what are the plans both for Paradise for Kids and also your charity? Is it to continue sending food, medicine?
Well, Paradise for Kids, they work differently to us in that we support these families outside of the mission.
Right.
Paradise for Kids are solely for the mission. But we support the mission as well in a big way. I mean, what we're doing now, there's 3 churches in the Midlands, the 2 Birmingham churches, the 1 in Coventry, they've all put £600 each, so £1,800 to buy a font to christen babies, which they don't have in Sierra Leone. So we have support there. The support is continuous. Even today, I had a photo of there's a girl, one of the Zinc House Kids, with malaria and typhoid. So now I'm going to send money for her medicine. But yeah, it is continuous.
And how have you found the Greek and Cypriot community in the UK? Are they forthcoming with donations? Are you battling hard to raise money? Very,
very. There's a group of people who I will just send. We have a Zinc House WhatsApp group, and I'll say, look, we need help with this, and they will just donate money instantly without even questioning it. On Facebook, people who don't even know me will write to me and say, Alex, we saw what's happening. We'd like to donate some money, and they'll donate money. I mean, they see me in churches taking photos. They see my photos of Sierra Leone on my Facebook page, so they know it's real. They know it's happening. And then we get the updates, which they see those as well. So it's an actual thing. It's not some, it's not fake news as many people do nowadays.
Absolutely. So you've been around, as you say, 23 churches in London, most of the other ones in the UK. How many in the UK roughly? hundreds?
Have I been to?
No,
well,
no, there are.
We've got about 120 odd.
Okay, and you've been to?
I've been to, I
probably
know,
half of them.
Around 50, I think, around 50.
So give us your impression of the Greek Orthodox community. Is it thriving? Are we shrinking? Is there new blood coming in? What's the outlook looking like?
It's growing again. I mean, we had the problem, obviously we had COVID, so the numbers dwindled, but people are coming back. I was at Panagia for the memorial of Archbishop Gennaris on Sunday. The church was full. I've been to Isaac Dimitrios, the church is full. So the churches are filling up. If you go to Birmingham, to St. Luke's, to St. Andrews, the churches are full up. So there are people there. And there's a lot of younger people coming into the church, which is what Archbishop Nikitas has been striving to do. And also with English services. They've introduced English services. So it's bringing new people in. And
Romanian services?
Many. That's even the Lord's Prayer said in Romanian as well, even the Bistevo in Romanian, which is important because they make up quite a big percentage of our communities.
They do. In the church that I go to, which is St. Panteleimon in Harrow, I would say 50% of the congregation are Romanian.
Yeah.
So we have Romanian chanters now. We have Romanian language Bistevo. And I think that's a healthy influx. We're all
definitely.
Orthodox after all.
Definitely.
So we've talked about churches, we've talked about embassies. I also see a lot of your photographs of fun events like music concerts, festivals, Cypriot Wine Festival. Tell us about those. What's the difference between photographing a singer and a crowd versus photographing a church?
Well, a crowd and a singer are easier than photographing a priest or a chanter. Well, with chanters, I've learned now, with chanters you have to wait for them to be holding a note, and then you take the photo. Otherwise, you get these weird contortions. Yeah, so that's very important. And then with the priests, when they're speaking, they will continue speaking, and trying to get that perfect photo is difficult. With a singer, with a microphone, it's easier because once again they're holding that note. So it is much. And the crowds obviously are different at a festival, at a concert than in a church. You don't get screaming people in churches.
So do you get invited to all these, or do you just show up?
Well, with the Wine Festival, I've become the official somehow, become the official photographer. So yeah, that's I've done I think 4 times. So I photographed Plutarchos, there's Dalaras, there's Pegizina, there's another 2. There's been quite a few. So I've had the Wine Festival. And then there's obviously the ambassador's residence when Stephen Fry was given an award. So I've had that. The Cliswold Arms is a wonderful young group, a Magalma Greek group. Beautiful music from all over Greece and from the islands. So I've been photographing their events as well. And all this I do for the community. I don't do it for me. I don't do it for money. I do it for the community because I want everyone to see, people outside the UK, that we exist. We're alive, and we do have a life here in the UK. And also the Brunswick Centre, they've had a few events there. There's the Go Greek, they had the Bollywood, they have the Halloween, they have the Christmas events coming up now. So I love going along and photographing the energy.
The energy, I agree. Have you been invited overseas? Have you been to Greece for Bouzoukia or
not Bouzoukia, but for a funeral, unfortunately, for Metropolitan Chrysostomos, who was when he was a priest for Anarchimandrida at St. Andrews, he gave me the name Alexios. My mother wanted to call me Alexis, but the priest then, where's your father Chrysostomos? He said, no, we don't have a St. Alexis, it's got to be Alexandros. My mum said, I don't like the name. He goes, okay, Alexios. So he gave me the name Alexios. And then years and years later, I became the man who would photograph him, and also I photographed his funeral. People were expecting me to go, and I just arranged from work to have one day off work. I flew out there on a Thursday evening. Friday morning was the funeral. Friday evening I flew back to the UK. So it was a sad invite, but that was the invite. Also, I went to Dimitrios in Thessaloniki when we went together, and I went to photograph the church there.
Right.
And that was the time when Archbishop Grigoris was still alive, but Archbishop Nikitas had just been enthroned.
Right.
So we had 2 at the same time. And then I went to the priest and I said, would you mind if I take photos of your service? I'm the Archbishop's photographer in the UK. He goes, which one? He was clever, and I said both of them. So he said, please do. So I managed to do that. I've been to Alexandria for the ordination of Bishop Themi from Sierra Leone.
So Father Themis became a bishop, and he was made a bishop in Alexandria,
which is where he was brought up. Yeah, okay. So that was the patriarch of Alexandria.
Okay.
So I've actually photographed 3 patriarchs so far.
Tell us about Alexandria. What did you see there?
It's an amazing city. The church
still Greeks living there, or not so many?
Not so many. There's a yacht club actually, which is still Greek. The Greek Yacht Club, I think it's called, where they serve beautiful Greek food. That's where the party was after the ordination. But the Church of Saint Sava is an amazing place because the columns there predate Alexander the Great, and they're still in the church.
Wow.
So that was an amazing experience. Yeah, beautiful city.
Tell us a bit more about the zinc house. So when's your next trip planned? You plan to go out again?
The next trip, we're hoping for February or March this time around.
2024.
Yeah, in a few months' time. It's not too long, to be honest, to go. So that's when it'll be around about that sort of time. The last visit was February of this year, year, 2023, February. I went there with Alexandra this time, so I had help. I thought I'd take Alexandra along. It's basically the mosquitoes will go for her and leave me alone, but there weren't any mosquitoes because we went in February, not December when I usually go when it's humid. So we went along. We had a massive schedule, what we needed to achieve. We had a beach party for 25 of our Zinc House kids, and about 15 of the mothers came along, and they prepared food, and these kids don't eat this much food. And that was on a Sunday. The Monday, they missed school because they all had a stomach ache because they'd eaten so much.
They're not used to it.
They're not used to it at all. We had another party for 50 invited children at a place called Godridge Village. Now, these children lost everything last year in fires. Their zinc houses burnt down. It just takes the slightest thing and that's it. The fire started. So we had a party for 50 children. 250 turned up. We fed them all. They all had something to drink. We had music. And it's the first time that particular area has seen a party for children. They don't have these parties. So that was that. We spoke. We spoke to so many people to see what problems they had and how we could help them. There was a tailor there amongst the Zinc House kids, and he asked me because next time you come, can you send me some cotton threads for the sewing machine? So what I did was I found a whole bag of threads. I sent them to him, and they sent a video back. He was so happy, and I thought I'm going to go one better than this. 12 Apostles, the woman from 12 Apostles, she donated a massive, enormous box full of these cotton reels and buttons. Buttons are like gold over there.
Currency.
And when he didn't realise he was going to receive them, I put cereal boxes on top. When he opened it up and he saw these he was kissing the buttons. The man was so happy to receive all this. So that was one problem solved. There was a woman that was a stroke victim. She had a stroke in 2017. Since then until the time we went in February, she'd been sleeping on the floor, but not a floor like you see here. When in your house or even in your garden, it's just it's a dirt floor. It's soil where water flows through it during the rainy season. And she'd be sleeping on the floor. In that room, the tiny zinc house that she had was 10 foot by 20 foot, no windows, no door, just a curtain. So it's all pitch. It's all darkness in there, and that was her bedroom, her living room, her toilet, her everything. They couldn't take her out of the house because there's nowhere for her to sit. So when I came back to England, we arranged for a friend of mine, Rita, she arranged a brand new wheelchair, a commode, and a folding bed. And we had it all sent to her. And it was the first time she'd left this prison of hers to go outside and in the street and go to the market and see her friends. The bed, she's probably late 50s. It's the first time in her life she slept in a bed, not just since the stroke. The first time in her life she slept in a bed, and the commode gave her back her dignity. So we found the problems, and we tried to find these solutions.
So it's been quite a journey,
definitely,
from photography through the church to Africa. Let's wrap up now. Let's think about your next step. So I've heard you talk about education, but I'm also seeing that children being christened into our church.
That's right.
So maybe we can end with that. Tell us about education, the life of the Orthodox community and church in Africa. and yeah, your next kind of few steps, do you think?
It's growing. It's growing. I think they say Orthodox faith is the biggest growing church in Africa. When we went in February, 18 children, in fact one of the fathers of the child, out of respect for us, they wanted to be baptized into the Orthodox Church, but not just turn up and be baptized. They've been going to classes, they've been going to Sunday school. The children have been attending Vespers on a Saturday night. How many children here will go to, and they go by themselves, their parents don't take them, they walk down the hill, the older ones will carry the smaller ones, and they sit in the church and they attend Vespers on a Saturday night, and every Sunday they're there for the service, and they're there for the Sunday school, so that's, and they all became Orthodox. Now the youngest one, Vigendios, they've all got our names. Vigendios, we've got 2 Alexioses now, we've got Vasiliki, we've got an Angeliki, we've got Chrysostomos, we've got Iakovo as well. Maybe
there will be a Greek-named town in Sierra Leone one day.
Well, yeah.
With christened Greek Orthodox children.
Themistoklis. Adamopoulos, yeah, they're one of the, definitely. But I mean, we have a lot of sponsors. We have to mention the sponsors. There's Nord Anglia Education. They have 4 boarding schools, 3 in Oxford, 1 in Brighton. They want to get on board and they want to support. They've already given us school uniforms and clothes and money as well to send over there. There's my small group of donors. They're all supporting the churches. The church in Welling. They've collected clothes and food and sent money. They helped finance the birth of 2 of our current babies, or the new babies. 12 apostles constantly supporting us with money and clothes and food as well. There's a church in Shrewsbury which is collecting now, in Chester collecting now, and then there's the Birmingham churches, there's Coventry. So all of this was with the blessing of Archbishop Nikitas. So there's a lot of people supporting. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, with the help of Hellenic TV and George Lingos and everyone here, just to get the message across. LGR.
Okay, that's good. So just to close then, going forward for the viewers, how can they support? When you set up your charity, Zinc House, you'll publicise it, they can donate?
Well, yeah, once we've got the charity up and running, the main thing is direct debits, is to have that constant flow of money. Because like I said just today, I had a message saying one of the girls from the Zinc Houses needs medicine, antibiotics. So it's that constant flow of money. We pay for school fees for about 40 children. Just back in August, we paid for medicine, we've paid for funerals, James, £200 for a funeral, a 5-year-old boy with sepsis. So it's basically the money coming through will be the main thing. Okay.
Thank you, Alex, the whole life cycle. So thank you, viewers, hope you've had a good insight into Alex's charitable endeavours. Please support him and say hello when he's next in your church. Thank you.
Thank you.